We've had a couple crispy days in a row here, and so instead of working on transplanting in the garden or seed starting, because it's been freezing each night for the last few nights, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to work on some waterways, some water retention, and future garden beds specifically for rice production. So I'm going to share some notes in this video about how that is evolving. So that's our little home where Sasha and I live, and the backyard. This is a continuation of our lawn to food forest project in our neighbor's yard. I'll do a more thorough update soon enough about the high tunnel. We haven't made tons of headway there yet. Put in one rosemary, worked out the start of a water system, but we've got lots and lots of seedlings that'll be going in there soon. What I've been working on is addressing the pond that we dug this last summer with an excavator. My neighbor did most of the work, and seeing if we can get the water line to go up just a little bit higher. Even 2 to 3 inches is pretty significant as far as total surface area. So what I've been doing is working on the low end the last couple days. Yesterday I put in a fair bit of effort, and shovelful by shovelful, bucket by bucket, adding material and packing it down to create more retention on the low end and getting that vegetated in a way that is meaningful as well. The pond itself, we're very happy with the overall shape, and it's working really nicely. It's been holding water really well, but of course this has been the wet part of the beginning of a wet year, so we'll see how it holds in the long run. But the water's been staying clear, nice and ice cold. My neighbor's been swimming in there most days. But what's been fun is to figure out this far bottom end, just with shovel work and deposition of soil. Slowly but surely, I've been able to bring the water level up so far about 4 inches. It was down, well, very much well below the bottom of that rock before I started. And so yesterday and the days before, I've been digging out subsoil that is loaded with clay, mixing in stones and stomping them down, and do that for a little bit, wait a day, watch the water level rise a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, do it again. And yesterday I found that a good avenue for getting lots of material pretty quickly was to evolve this channel here, which will be partially about an overflow for the pond, mainly to be a very slow moving, warm, water holding space for rice production. And so I dug the main part of this channel just to define the southern edge. I laid down a whole bunch of hay on the walkways so we can start keeping the weeds down and defining with thick layers of hay where is walkway and then where are beds. And then it's an opportunity to skim the topsoil off of this space, and you can see I'm just depositing it next. So in between the sea berries, we can be doing annual production in here. In between the autumn olive and now goji berries that are planted down this whole line, we've got more topsoil, very short delivery distance. And so in the process of looking for subsoil to pack the berm to hold water, can skim off topsoil, build raised beds very accurately, very nearby, and then fill a few buckets at a time and dump them and stomp it in. When this little channel is done, it'll be about 3 feet wide by, I would guess, around 80 feet long. And so today we're going to start a couple of ounces of a nice northern variety of rice and see if I can finish digging this out fully so we can plant the entirety of this to rice and then maybe transplant it to watercress going into the winter. And by then, all of the soil from here will either be moved to garden beds that are nearby so we can get great production out of it, or into the high tunnel, and then the subsoil will be put to use to continue to raise that berm more and more. We can set up a siphon from the pond that comes over with a lock that we can open up to flood irrigate this whole garden bed. So it should be really, really functional and slowly done just with hand tools so we can get it very, very accurate. No laser level, no A-frame needed. It's just chipping away at it and then watching, giving it a day to adjust and going on from there. This is very much a work in progress, this back end here. But last year I planted out all these different willows, and I'm glad I did. In a way, it probably would have made the most sense to do the physical soil and stone infrastructure well before the vegetation. But I don't know, it's nice to weave in between the willows. And you can see I just go in with my boots, let it dry a little bit, and then stomp it down, add in some layers of rocks. We're picking out rocks from some of the gardens over here just to clean them up and working those in so there's a little bit more texture. Basically, at a human scale, making like a cement berm on this back end of clay and stones. Once we get the final level, we'll put some really huge stones on there, stomp those in, so it's a really good shield for the soil for when there is a pulse of water flowing through, and figure out an overflow through here that's shielded with a ton of stones, and then get it all vegetated really thoroughly. And then what I can do is wherever I see active, especially this is very helpful, is when it's frosting on the surface and I see melted water or flowing water down below, I know that that's from the pond weeping through a given spot. So adding some stones, some softball to rock-sized stones in there, working them in and adding more clay, stomping it down, just chasing those out seems to be a really good pattern for getting more water. So the willows are holding on the edge, and then along this side, planted out skirret and iris versicolor, so it should be some really beautiful wetland plants. There's a whole bunch of camas planted in, and I took willow cuttings of some weaving and utility willows and planted them right into the pond's edge here, because that's a very steep drop off. And so hopefully this will vegetate out, and the thought would be in a few years we can coppice this in the late winter when there's ice on the pond. We can slide out, cut back everything to the water level, and then let them resprout in the spring. It should be really beautiful if it works out. And it's cool to see once the water level's gone up just a little bit, it's coming all the way over to the edge now. It can still go higher, but that's added many square feet of additional surface area for so much production potential in there. I'll get back to chipping away at that, and we'll share some notes once we get ready to plant the rice out. But hopefully this whole setup will go up another 2 to 4 inches and bring the water up. This will be really fortified and shielded. There'll be a siphon established to be able to flood irrigate, and we can adjust it all with shovels as needed. And we'll have some more intelligent overflows out this other end that can go this way, where it's a little bit safer. I'll make some more detailed update videos, especially on the high tunnel, and then maybe one on our solar pan. This is a real rough sketch of a circulator pump, a PEX tube that's now lifting to an IBC tank, so that's pond water, that has an overflow that goes back into a drip line that goes through the high tunnel, which then ultimately, when that is full, goes back to the pond. That'd be fun to talk about, but it's been nice to have some water stored. This is not a huge amount of head or height, but we're upslope of our garden here, and on a couple of cinder blocks, when we open up the hose now down in the garden, the water really gushes out. So this will be the first growing season we've had here where we'll have ample running water to grow plants with. It's actually a novel experience to have that when we've been doing rainwater collection for the last 15 years. Anyway, that's my long rambling video. Let me know if you've got questions or some suggestions, and we'll call this the during rather than the beginning or the after, and we'll make some notes soon enough. Thanks.